Welcome back. We're here for the second week of Lent already, and we're happy to have Amy and Teresa here with us. We've been giggling it up a little bit just a few minutes ago for some technical reasons, but I was commenting on how people were saying that my background here isn't that interesting, and I wanted to tell everybody it is the most interesting thing in this room. So we'll work on it. I'm sure that as we get creative, we'll get something in there nice. Anyway, we are going to have Teresa read for the second week of Lent, which is the reading of the Transfiguration of Jesus.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no fuller on earth could bleach them. Then Elijah appeared to them along with Moses, and they were conversing with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, "Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He hardly knew what to say. They were so terrified. Then a cloud came, casting a shadow over them. From the cloud came a voice, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." Suddenly, looking around, they no longer saw anyone but Jesus alone with them. As they were coming down from the mountain, he charged them not to relate what they had seen to anyone, except when the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what rising from the dead meant. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. At some point, and I don't remember exactly who this was, but it was one of the theologians I was reading when I was in the seminary. There was a scriptural theologian who really believed that these readings of the Transfiguration are out of place, that they were actually resurrection readings and they were in the wrong place. I wholeheartedly disagree with that, but it is an interesting thought. And the reason he thought that was simply because it shows the glory of the resurrection before it happens. Why? Why might the gospel writers do this? Well, Jesus has just announced to his disciples that he is chosen and he's going to go to Jerusalem and be rejected and killed and handed over. And of course, you can imagine the effect that this would have on his friends. We know what happens to Peter. Peter says, no, I'll defend you. And Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan. You're thinking as human beings do and not as God does." And we know that it was not understood yet. It was something of a very devastating and strong revelation. So Jesus, having decided this, takes the disciples up with him, these 3 disciples up with him, and shows them this. And it's really a sign of Jesus' wonderful ability and knowledge about what his friends need and what he needs in that sense too. I said this to somebody recently, but nobody complains about waking up early. Even if you always complain about waking up early, nobody does complain about waking up early on the day that they're going on vacation, or if they have to get up for something they want to do. And that part of the human nature is kind of in a kind of a parallel to what Jesus is doing. Having told them something very difficult, he then gives them something to keep them going. So you don't have to, if to wake up and go to work, it's one thing. If wake up and go visit somebody and have a wonderful day and do something fun, we're much more ready to go early in the morning. So to endure some of the difficult things that are ahead, he shows these guys this thing and says, it'll be okay. Here's the glory. He shows the end in the beginning. Before I go through this, remember where it's going. And then it also gives them something to, the challenge is for us is, are we confident in God? Do we understand always? And sometimes when we don't understand, do we still go through with it? That's very challenging for us. We seem to be placing knowledge and understanding above doing His will in many ways. Certainly above, certainly it's something that has plagued the human person condition for a long, long time, that we seem to only do things from our own perspective that we understand and believe in. And yet Jesus literally looks at us and says, trust me. I'm showing you this so to make you strong enough and to understand that you're doing it right. After all, they hear the voice of God in heaven say, this is my son. So they're like, okay, we can do it. We don't understand, but we can do it. And Jesus assures them, of course, that they will understand. He also is very much open to the idea that they don't understand now, but it will be understood later. And that's something that's also very hard for us. No, just explain it to me now. I don't want any kind of iterative step-by-step program. No, explain it all to me. I'll be fine. And that is not how Jesus chooses to teach us. In John's Gospel, he says, you can't bear it. I have more to tell you, but you can't bear it now. But when the Spirit comes, He will guide you into all truth. So we understand that God is asking us not only to be patient, but rather to stay the course, which is step by step, that you will come into understanding by doing His will, by going through with the difficult things that is being asked of us, by enduring the loss of Jesus. And that's also important, is that in Lent, what is always, especially as we get to Holy Week and Good Friday, most especially on Good Friday, you deal with a knowledge of loss, that your friend is going to leave you. He's going to we're going to be alone without Jesus. We know that. We have to deal with that at the beginning of Lent, but certainly at the end. And always, as we move towards Good Friday, always I'm filled with this sense of sadness. And that certainly is a great way of looking at it, and it's a way of looking at it that these disciples were feeling very keenly when we're dealing with the Transfiguration. So we say the Transfiguration reading, look at the glory of God, how wonderful is it? But these people are dealing with something very painful. Very painful. And Jesus too. Jesus also gets the reassurance of Elijah and of Moses. So the first and great prophet and the keeper of the law both come to acknowledge that yes, Jesus, in this moment, everything we started is being brought to fulfillment. Everything we began is coming to be. You and Jesus, you're on the right path. Continue to go. And it goes and takes him to Jerusalem, where he dies on the cross. So very simply, I think this week we offer you that God is looking out for us, that He cares for us, and then it gives us some strength to go back into the world that's often challenging and saying, but I know where it's going. I know how this ends for those who really know Him, for those who believe, for His closest friends are always taken care of. And it should be the desire of our hearts that we be His friends too, that we join the company of these saints that accompany Him, that need the strength on the mountain. So I offer you that in difficult times. It's getting a little warmer out, so maybe you're happy about that. Again, if you need that reassurance, it's being offered you. The sun came out the other day. How many people on Sunday said, oh, look, isn't it great that the sun's out? I didn't even notice it that much, but people kept saying it because they needed it. And Jesus goes up to the mountain and His clothes are dazzling white. We need it. He does this for our good. So have a wonderful week. Thank you very much for your consistent and constant support. And thank you very much for all that you do to see your families and see strangers in your life and help those most in need through these difficult days. Thank you for being such true reflections and wonderful members of this great community that worships Jesus Christ. So we'll see you soon.